In this video we're going to have a brief look at some of the key considerations for wild camping in the UK mountains. We're here in Snowdonia, and here wild camping is tolerated on the basis that it's educational and therefore brings environmental benefits with it. But that will only be the case whilst people are responsible for their actions whilst wild camping. So in general terms, avoid wild camping somewhere where you'll be seen from the road. So it needs to be up in the mountains and away from human habitation. When you pitch your tent, do so once it's dark, and then strike camp again once it's daylight. Make sure you leave the campsite as you found it, so leave no trace, leave no mess. And here in the UK, we don't have campfires. There's too much of a risk to the habitat with fire, so avoid having campfires and be really, really careful with your stove use. So let's have a look at what makes for a good campsite. We're here, we've come down off the high tops today because it's pretty breezy, it's pretty windy, and in the UK that's not unusual. So we're looking for some form of shelter, and often when I'm wild camping in the mountains I'll be looking for man-made shelter. That might be a sheepfold, or here today we've got this disused dam wall that should provide us with a bit of cover. And you can do that in your pre-planning. You can think, okay, here's my preferred camp spot, here's my second camp spot, and be aware of the prevailing wind. So today we've got a southwesterly, so we're going to be camping to the north of this wall to give us some shelter from that wind. Let's go and have a look. So we can see, having tucked behind this dam wall, the wind's dropped fairly significantly. We're still going to get a little bit of circulation of wind, but it's a lot better than it was the other side of the wall there. So when I'm choosing my camp spot, I'm looking primarily to get out of the wind. And then I'm looking at the ground that I'm going to be pitching my tent on. So here we've got something that's flat. It's never going to be sort of putting green like we might get at a campsite down in the valley. But the fact that we're high up in the mountains, we've got the wilderness, we've got the views, that's going to compensate for that. So I've got something that's reasonably flat, and I've got something that's reasonably well drained as well. I don't want to be trying to pitch my tent on a bog and ending up like I'm sleeping on a lilo. So we've got a reasonably well drained, flat camp spot here. The other thing that I do want to think about though is that I've got some drinking water. And here we've got a nice stream running behind us, so I'm going to be able to get water from the stream, and I've brought some means of water purification with me, which we'll have a look at in a moment as well. So it's flat, it's well drained, it's sheltered from the wind, I've got drinking water nearby. The final consideration really is my toilet facilities. If you're going to be out for multiple nights, then you're going to need to bring a trowel and make allowance for digging and burying, or perhaps more environmentally friendly, you're going to need to bring some form of carrying device so that you can carry out any waste with you. And in certain parts of the UK that's a requirement, as it is in other national parks around the world. Here I would sort of site my toilet well away from a camp, 100 metres perhaps away from camp and from any water sources. And just make sure that everybody in the group is aware of where that toilet's going to be. So let's pitch our tent.